There we go. We are live. Hello, community. I'm Angie. This is Natalie. We're here for Conscious Conversations in our new little time slot. Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Time is when you can find us, coming in live or anytime that you're able to tune in. So these conversations are just about life things. They're just about they're about being human. And if you're a parent, they're about exploring parenting. Even if you're not a parent, you have been parented. It's about exploring, how we do parenting. What are some of the behaviors that are challenging us? And I love today's topic is about people pleasing. And I think that's a very common experience amongst people in this group. I know because we're very empathetic beings. We're, are empathic beings, and just wanting to be kind. We want to live by our hearts, right? And the way we've been taught that in this world is to people please.
Mhm.
And that's not serving us. I think we're awakening to this fact. And as we awaken to this fact, this is why we have conversations, because what do we do now? Things need to shift then, right? How do we do that? Yeah, and that's why I love bringing these conversations. I love hearing your wisdom and your experiences and your insights around this. So yeah, I mean that's why I have this space, so that we can share together and we can grow together and we can heal together and we can rise then together. And so, what else did I want to say? That's all I want to say right now. Natalie, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Natalie, and I just got off work, so I have like sat down all day here.
I love that.
Well, I didn't realize, so I got up from my desk, and I didn't realize there was a cat under the chair. But I like when I moved the chair, we kind of met in physical collisions. I'm like, I'm so sorry, and I'm like, who hides under a chair?
What were you doing under there?
Right? Cats, I tell you. Um, So I am Natalie. I'm a mom of two, and we also homeschool, which always adds an extra layer of stuff. It's actually it goes great, but then there's just things that come up, right? Um, and so I help families who homeschool kind of figure out, walk them through as things pop up, because it's so different parenting when you're homeschooling, you're home with your kids all the time.
Yeah.
Different stuff pops up, right? And sometimes it's really hard to find support because not a lot of people homeschool. So, and Julie's here.
And Julie's
Uh,
here.
yeah,
Thank you for your
so
patience with me.
No problem.
yeah, that's fine. Um, yeah, so that's me. And now, perfectly timed,
I was just
Julie
going to
can intro
say,
herself.
We're introducing ourselves.
we're
Well,
just
hello.
introducing ourselves.
I'm
Yes.
Julie, and I'm a mother of a 10 and 12-year-old, both boys. I've wanted to be a parent for as long as I can remember. So, um, thinking about parenting and being conscious of being a parent has been in my awareness. I remember really strongly around the age 9 or 10 when I had a younger cousin. And I'm just so grateful to be here in these conscious conversations with Angie and Natalie. I'm so thrilled that you guys invited me. And I look forward to them.
Awesome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for
So,
having
yeah,
me.
we were talking a little bit before you came on just about people pleasing. Like this is such an ingrained behavior. Like we've been taught that in order to be kind and be live in our hearts in this world, we have to please other people. And that's exactly it. And as we awaken, we start to recognize how this actually hasn't been serving us, and what in fact it has been doing is holding us back,
Oh,
because we're
absolutely.
actually not serving people when we are pleasing them. And it's, it's this whole talk of like everything we have is within us, right? And if we're searching outside of ourselves, this is why we have to unpack this. Like this behavior is making us look outside of ourselves for validation, acceptance, and love.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we're never going to find the lasting love and acceptance externally that we will find internally. Because
That's
when
right.
we look for that externally, it can be taken away from us at any moment. We're not empowered.
There's no power there.
No, at all. We're only empowered when we find it within. So yeah, people pleasing is definitely an energy drainer. So yeah, as you know. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no. Go ahead. Finish off your thought. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, as you know, I talk about energy a lot, and being able to steward our energy and energize ourselves and not unconsciously give our energy away is so valuable. And when we're pleasing people, that's exactly what we're doing. We're just giving our power away. So
yeah, we're doing things for the comfort of others. I'm wondering, I guess a question I was going to pose was, what are some of these people-pleasing behaviors that you think are common in moms?
Oh, I just thought of not giving consequences to our children when we're around other people because we don't want to be judged, right? So instead of actually doing what we know would be best in the situation, or we believe how we would do our best in the situation, we are thinking about what everyone outside of us will think and how they will judge us. And I've seen that a lot in situations. Parents just don't want to be uncomfortable, and there's no judgment. And I get that. You don't want to be sitting there scolding your child in front of people. But when it comes down to it, we need to do what we feel is best in each moment, no matter what anyone outside of us is thinking or saying. And I say that meaning no harm as well. Like, we're not causing any harm. We do what we feel is best without causing any harm, and we'll always be on the right path.
Right.
So
I love that. Goes in line too with our last conversation, right? About parenting and being consistent with the consequences, and it helps the children, right, to develop and understand where the boundaries are, right?
Yes.
And isn't it interesting that our people-pleasing behavior will disrupt that completely?
Absolutely. And our children will catch on to that in a heartbeat, and they will try to use it. Yeah, I was going to say, like, walk all over us and just, be like, you know what? If you're not going to be giving me the consequences you usually do, well, let's see how far I can take this. I'm going to push you to your very limit.
Oh, and they do.
That's what children do, right? They're learning their boundaries. They're testing their boundaries, right? And we are the example in showing them where those healthy, safe boundaries are. But if we're not putting them in place, especially to please others or in fear of judgment, then our children will pick up on that. And again, that will be our little mirror for us to reflect and say, okay, what am I doing here in this situation? How do I want to change and empower myself in this situation? Because it can feel very disempowering when we're there and our children are having meltdowns and we just don't know what to do. Can be overwhelming. But if we stay clear and consistent, then that's where we will stay empowered in those moments.
Awesome.
And I can say, because I've been thinking of parenting for as long as I can remember, I've generally been pretty good in standing in my power in those moments. So I've had an experience of a lot of people come up to me and tell me how good of a job I'm doing or congratulate me, rather than the judgment that I may have thought I might have gotten. It's been the complete opposite, because they're seeing, she's really whatever they're seeing, they're liking that reflection, right? So they're coming up and letting me know. And I've been floored sometimes, where I think I've talked to you, Angie, about this, where my child, I remember Toys R Us was a big one, having a complete meltdown. And I thought that I was losing it. Like, in my head, I have like all these emotions, and I'm like, I think I'm yelling at them. I don't even know I'm just so caught up in the emotion of it. And I had someone stop me at the end and say, wow, you're doing a great job. And I was like, really? I thought I was losing it.
Like, wow, thank you, I think.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It was definitely, but I might have, if I was worried about judgment, I might have behaved completely different and not spoken to my child in those moments and explained to them, the behavior, what was acceptable, wasn't acceptable, and so on. And I think that was what the other person was seeing. Well, she's taking the time and she's talking to her child about what's going on. But I felt like I was losing it. I'm like,
I had an experience on Alice's birthday. On her birthday, she was losing it. We were trying to leave the house, and I think I told you about this, her bike helmet. And she was trying, we were leaving, and the neighbor's out gardening. And I don't know how to handle it. Like, she's being rude and crying and freaking out. And I thought same thing, thought I was handling it awfully. And like totally aware that my neighbor's listening in on this, right? And then I came out, she's like, wow, like she just had a baby. She's literally like, wow, I don't know how I'm gonna manage something like that. And I was like, yeah, I'm like, she's like, you handled that really well. I was like, I don't always handle things very well. And I was
that
like,
is
I
so
think
beautiful.
I was doing better than sometimes, but
I think we can get caught. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to add also, sometimes too, I wonder if I'm handling it well because there's somebody there.
Do
you know what I mean? Like, I'm handling it better because I have this audience.
Right? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Where I don't have an audience, I might not have handled it so hot.
Yes, definitely. I can totally identify with that now as you're saying it. Like, I'm thinking I'm being more cautious about my words maybe and how I'm speaking rather than reacting. I'm responding better, even though inside I still feel like I'm reacting and feel very overwhelmed. So yeah, that's a interesting awareness. I like that.
Yeah. I just wanted to say hi, Rosalie. It's nice to have you on here. She just finished her walks for the day. Hello. I'm glad you can join us on the new time. So yeah, Natalie, what do you think? Like, what is a common people-pleasing behavior you see?
Yeah, with moms and parents in general, I find it's like a toss-up between wanting to please your child and not being like the bad guy or the bad parent, whether or not you're either living with the other parent or you're not. And I'm sure both of the scenarios would have different details, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's that, it's wanting to please that child, to please your child. And so maybe we're not being consistent, right? Maybe we're struggling to say no. Maybe we're, again, kind of like with the whole consistency thing, maybe we're like jumping from one thing to another, whether that's discipline or, like family routine. And this may stem from maybe like a lack of self-confidence, like parenting confidence, that you already have all the answers for your child, right? So we're not sure about this. So I think people pleasing is also very tied into like self-confidence or self-empowerment. I like self-empowerment, that term better. But yeah, like wanting to please your child, not wanting to be like the bad guy, right? And I mean, this can be from our own mental image of what a good parent should be, based on what happened in your childhood, based on what we would see in movies and TV shows growing up, like kind of like that ideal parent or mom image that we have. And we try to recreate that, but it's like, even if that's from a real life experience, it's still fiction. Like, so I think that's really tied into people pleasing when it comes to moms, is we're trying to be this like amazing superstar, like mom or, dad or parent. And I mean, that harms us, right? That harms us a lot. And I know you had mentioned at the beginning how people pleasing actually drains your energy, right? And it totally does. And I find it's really common. I mean, it's common with everybody, but I find it's really common with people that have more empathic abilities, right? Because we feel even ahead of time, even before this situation even crops up, that like,
We're already
like, my child's not going to like this, or, this always happens. Like, again, you're projecting into the future, and then you're trying, and at the same point, you're like backpedaling, and you're trying to figure out how to avoid the conflict that hasn't even occurred, right?
Yep. We play the whole thing out before we get to it, and we're already emotionally reacting to that than what's right in front of us.
Yeah, which drains your energy even more, right?
And exactly, and then it harms everyone else. It doesn't actually support everyone, right? Like when you're drained, that impacts everyone around you.
Absolutely.
Right. And it's so tied, like that's tied to the validation. Again, we're looking for validation, acceptance, and love outside of ourselves. We're looking for our children to validate to us that we are the cool parent, that we are the, you know what I mean? All the reasons, like that we're the cool parent, that we're, we let them do what they want, or we, you know what I mean? That like, and that's like, we don't, and it's unconscious, guys. It's unconscious that we do this. It's so ingrained in us, right? But when we come into that awareness, then we start to take more conscious choices, that people pleasing shouldn't be made a priority over our family, over what we want, the experience that we want within our family.
Yeah. And over our own well-being.
And our well-being.
Right? Yeah. And people pleasing is so ingrained because we've been taught, and it's seen as being a nice person. Everybody likes me, but it sucks your energy, and it's actually from like the victimhood mentality, right? Because you are doing things so that other people, but with the idea of, if I do this or if I don't do that, other people will like me, right? You're looking for happiness. You're looking for acceptance outside of yourself.
Yeah. And that's an energy that is felt. So when you are doing something because it's people pleasing, you're doing something to please someone else for their comfort, you're doing something for their comfort, that energy is felt. It's a neediness energy, and that neediness is pulling energy too. You're pulling energy from that person too, and they might not even know. You don't know. They don't know, but they feel it, right? And it creates more disharmony, right? And so, it's like this needy energy. It's inauthentic. It's felt. You know how you feel when somebody's being inauthentic?
Yeah.
Right? That is felt at a soul level, energetic level. They feel the inauthenticity of it. And it is draining not only your energy, it's draining their energy, because you're trying to take validation, acceptance, and love from them.
Oh,
instead of allowing it to happen naturally.
You got my wheels spinning here in just a situation that recently occurred. So my mom is moving, and so she would like help moving, but my energy has been so low. So she asked me just in the morning if I could help her to move, and I basically said no, like I needed to care for myself and my own energy. And then I had a conversation with my sister. So I chose, and that was very empowering to choose that. It was not easy, right? Mm-hmm. It would have felt easier in the moment to just be like, sure, and go with it and then please her. But I knew if I was doing that, the energy I was putting out would not be of love. It would be of resentment. And I know whatever energy I'm putting out, I'm getting back. So I didn't go that day, and I didn't go the next day. I still needed more care, but I did end up going. And when I did go, it was because I wanted to be there, because I had enough energy to give. I had filled my energy up enough that I now had some to give, and it felt wonderful. And I had a beautiful day. if I would have went on the other day, I would have been resentful. I would have been frustrated. It wouldn't have been a great experience together.
She would have felt it. Everybody would have felt
Exactly.
it.
Yeah. And I mean, being conscious, we're all, I think, in this world becoming more conscious of our energy, and that we are creative energy, and there is a constant energy exchange between us. So when we can understand how that works, we can create our best life, and I've been very conscious of energy for a long time. I only, in the past handful of years, realized I had been working with energy since I was a small child. So something I've always just naturally done. But so I'm very aware about the energy I'm giving and receiving. And I was grateful that even in that very depleted moment where I didn't have a lot of energy, I was still able to stand in my empowerment, because it's not always easy to do that. And I wasn't consistently doing that either. I was depleting my energy, and it was coming into my awareness that I was doing all of these things out of obligation every day. I wasn't doing things because I love them and because that's where my soul was guiding me. And I know the extreme difference in the feeling. Angie, we talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
And I was happy to have that experience and allow me to choose myself again and not give away my energy and preserve it and fill it back up. So
yeah.
yeah.
That was the example I was thinking of as parents. The people pleasing is around obligation. Going to different events and things, like feeling like you need to be at every single one of them, birthday parties, you know what I mean? All these things. And you said it, like if you're not honoring your energy in those moments, there is an impact. And maybe that's all it is that you need to understand, is there is an impact, and it impacts not only you but the people who experience you when you go against your own energy.
Absolutely. And from the outside perspective, it can be seen sometimes as being selfish.
Yes.
Right? You're being selfish. You're not going to do this out of obligation, but in truthfulness, we have to care for ourselves first, because we can't give what we don't have. And like you said, those exchanges are a completely different situation.
And we're the only ones that know where our energy is at in that moment. Nobody knows. And it's uncomfortable. You said it's uncomfortable. I'm sure, there's judgment around it. There's, you know what I mean, whatever people are going to think. But can we invite in new experiences? Can we invite in and allow for the discomfort to be there, and invite in new experiences for ourselves and for those other people, to show that maybe I won't come these 2 days, but when I come, I'll be fully present.
Yes.
I'll be fully present, and I'll be in my heart, and you will feel it.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yes. That is beautiful, because you do feel it. You do feel the difference.
Yeah.
Whether you're conscious of it or not.
Yeah.
A difference.
Yeah, I really love that example, Julie. Thank you. And I love how you brought up, because this brings up an important point. I love how you brought up that when you did go to help, on that third day, you had, you went because you wanted to, right? And not out of a sense of obligation. So even though the physical, like the physicalness of it was the same, you went to your mom's house to help out, and, packing boxes or cleaning up or whatever, the physical things were the same, but it's how you felt, right? How you felt was the difference. And that's where we need to really focus on, is how do I feel when I say yes or I say no? Like, how do I feel, right? Maybe you're exhausted, in your example, you're exhausted and you're like, I'm sorry, I can't come today. I'm not feeling well, whatever it is, or I have other plans, whatever that reason is.
I would even add, you don't have to give a reason.
Yeah, that's true. You don't even have to give a reason, right? And that's being true to yourself and authentic.
Yes.
And And you still do it from, even if you're exhausted and you feel like crap, I mean, just that authenticity, that comes from a place of love, which is a completely different point of view or point of being than, oh, fuck, I guess, yeah, like, I don't want to, but I guess I will, right? Because then otherwise she's going to be bitching about it for a year, right? That I didn't come home to move.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then when you did go, you were, first of all, you know, your energy was replenished. You were feeling a lot better and you were more present. And when we're present doing things, we actually bring more consciousness into that situation. Yeah. Even if it's just this conversation right here, we are bringing consciousness like on the internet, like
yes,
badass. But even when you're moving boxes, or I mean, Eckhart Tolle has a great example of. He takes cooking as an example, right? Like when you're preparing a meal, he's like, be very present as you're cooking the meal, and then he's like. And then like you can taste the quality, like the quality, you can taste that presence, right? And I know that kind of sounds weird, but as opposed to making a meal, like, you know, when you're distracted and all this stuff is going on and, oh.
Beautiful.
What does that say? Because the letters are backwards.
It says Hedwig.
Oh,
it's her. It's her hamster.
Hamster.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Thanks
That's
for
really,
sharing.
really amazing.
Yes, thank you.
And they love it.
That is wonderful.
It's beautiful. Gosh, I love it. Wow.
Oh, I love when kids bring like artwork or something. It just warms my heart.
It just came on a whim. She just like decided, I want to paint, and just grabbed all the things and just.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Following her guidance. So sorry, go ahead, Natalie.
No, that's fine.
Sorry, Natalie.
And so just when you're feeling good, when you're present and you choose to say yes, right? It comes from choice. It comes from your innerness. Mm-hmm. And then you went into that situation and you were present. And that is the most impactful thing you can do. Even if nobody sees it, doesn't matter if people notice it or not. Right?
They feel it.
They feel it. Whether they're conscious of it or not, they feel it. And that just in itself is the complete opposite of people pleasing. Because people pleasing, again, is draining, right? It's like we're like walking colanders and you're punching more holes into your body and you're just like, bleh. But when you know that it's a no, or it's a yes, you're filling yourself back up with that inner power. And
then you're spreading that out to everyone. And you're energizing them.
Yeah.
And they don't know it.
Yeah, and the situations and objects, like I am very present even when I'm driving. And it's a completely different experience. Because everything, and I'm kind of going off on a deep end, but that's okay. Because everything has a consciousness.
Yes.
You know, it's, you know, the people, the animals, obviously, but also like the boxes that you're handling. It's, if it wouldn't have a consciousness, it wouldn't even be there. And even if it wouldn't be there and have a consciousness, but you're bringing your presence, you're like coding everything or highlighting everything with your presence.
Yes.
And that is so empowering.
Like that's a gift. If you want to be the service in this world, that's a gift. That is the gift. And so,
because often the reason why we people please is because we want to help people, right?
Yes.
But we're not even actually helping people when we're people pleasing because we're just constantly repeating this victimhood cycle. But when we do what Julie did, the story that she shared, that is actually really helping people. Yes. It doesn't matter what her mom's reaction was when she initially said no. And when she said no a second time, and hey, even maybe a third and a fourth time, it doesn't really matter what that other person, what their reaction is, because you do it from presence, right? You do it from consciousness. And that's actually a better outcome for everyone involved.
Service. It's the highest good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will say it was uncomfortable for a couple days. I was like, my mom lives with me, so we're here. And I knew she was upset, and I did bring it up, and I did say to her, I think it was the next day that it was actually that day before she was leaving to go. I said, I'm sorry that I'm not able to come, but I really have to take care of myself. And she wasn't happy, and that was okay. I was a little uncomfortable, but I knew what I was doing. I was consciously choosing myself, and I knew that always leads to the best outcome, no matter how it feels in the present moment. And then the next day again, I couldn't go. And even it was the third day that I was able to go after I did some things. So I didn't go right away. I did what I needed to do first, and then I went, and it was beautiful. But even on the second day, I think it was, when she came home, I had just been talking to Steve. We were in the kitchen and talking that she wasn't very happy with me because I didn't go. And as she came in, I'm like, oh, I was just telling Steve you're not happy with me, so.
Elephant in the room. I love it.
Exactly. It's like, I don't want to hide.
Exactly. It's not this shameful thing that we have to hide.
Right. And not discuss, because that's, a lot of the way I was taught growing up. Don't discuss the challenges, because then you're causing a problem. Yeah. But I want it to be very clear that this is what I'm doing. And I mean, even in creating my business, and my mom has been watching me create my business as well, that's what it's all about. It's about self-love and no harm choices. And that's always the way to guide us to our soul and our inner knowing, our discernment. So it was a great experience for us both to have, I think.
It's such a powerful experience to share it too, like to share this with people in understanding. So before you even got on the call, that's what I was talking about, was people pleasing is how we've been taught to, be of service in the world. But and this is the biggest lie. It's such a lie. It's like, no, this is not our biggest service to the world. And that's what we're learning in these communities, right? We are of so much more service. We have so much more to give when we take care of ourselves. Then we're giving from the overflow. It's not even coming from our energy. It's just channeling source energy through us, right? Divine love, unconditional love through us. And it is felt. And every time we make that decision, we are teaching people how to make the decision for themselves and what an outcome could look like. Maybe it's uncomfortable, but then look at the outcome in the end. And even if they don't see it, Natalie said it, even if they're not conscious of it right yet, there's going to come a day where they become conscious of it. And then they suddenly understand these experiences they might have had with you.
Absolutely. And as Natalie said as well, everything has a consciousness, everything has an energy, and the energy we're putting into it is what makes the difference. And when we're people pleasing, we are not putting that loving, healthy, healing energy into things. We are depleting, we're pulling energy. It's like we're trying to pull energy and we're draining our energy at the same time. It's just like this vicious cycle. But when we are choosing ourselves and we are choosing to do things out of love and from our overflow rather than continuing to deplete ourselves, we're putting that loving energy into it. We're doing it because we want to. And like you said, whether it's felt in the moment or not, it's there and it exists. And, maybe down the line it will be understood or it will be felt. Either way, that's what we've put out. And guess what? What we're putting out is what we're receiving back. So when we can choose ourselves first, our life is a completely different. Like, it's funny because I've been going through low energy for a couple months. I've been working through it, working through new routines, trying to raise my energy back up. And that's why I had to say no, where normally I would be right there, no problem. I have tons of overflowing energy, but I haven't had that. So it's funny how the perspective can change almost instantly when from a lower energy to a higher energy and what we're putting out there. For example, one of the thoughts that often comes in my head when my energy is beginning to rise is that the sun is shining for me. Like, I'll be doing something and I'll be like, oh my goodness, the sun just came out. That was for me. Like, in this exact moment, it was perfect. And on another day where my energy is lower, I could be like, close the blinds. Like, why is the sun in my eyeballs? Like, what are you doing in my eyeballs? Right?
Oh, that's so true.
It's amazing.
Nothing is static. We're not static.
No, and it all starts with our conscious thought, choice, action, right? So as often as we can be conscious in the present moment and choose ourself and choose self-love, we're going to be bringing that right back to us. And that's what I've been doing over these past couple of months. No matter how crappy or little energy I had, I would consciously try and choose myself in that moment. And, my energy is rising and I'm doing more and more each day. I just started a new beautiful routine that's just got me full of energy. So I'm feeling like I have lots of energy to give. So I'm super excited to be here talking and giving energy.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, yes, yeah. And that's it. We receive and we share, right? And the other thing is when we make these choices and we put it out, this is a consciousness that we are putting out and we're making available on the planet. It doesn't even matter about the person you're actually in interaction with. We are bringing it to the earth. Mm-hmm. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, we are taking these higher levels of consciousness that weren't available here. That's why we didn't grow up with it. It wasn't available here, or it was very rarely available. Now every time we make these choices, this is something I really like people to understand. It's like, we are that powerful, right? We are taking a higher consciousness energy and choosing with our sovereignty, with our conscious choice, we are choosing to put that energy out. And when we put that energy out, that becomes a consciousness that becomes available to others should they choose it.
Exactly. And as I've heard it discussed of before, as a blueprint, right? We're creating a blueprint.
We're putting a blueprint out.
Right? Or a light grid. We're bringing
that becomes available to all humans.
Exactly. Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing how the energy can spread so far beyond us because we are all connected, right? That energy is felt throughout, whether someone is conscious of it or not. So I love that you brought that up.
Yeah. So to bring it back to people pleasing, what do you guys think of people pleasing for the reason to avoid conflict? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
That's I think that is a big one. Like, what is it? Like, the number one thing we do is when something feels uncomfortable, we run away from the pain. And in the Buddhist teachings, there's like, we either go towards craving, we go towards aggression, like projecting, right? Or we go to ignorance, like just indifference, being like, I don't care. You just shut the world out, right? These are the three poisons. And in the end, they poison us, is what we say. And so people pleasing is a craving because we receive love, acceptance, right, and validation. And so we move towards the craving because it's uncomfortable. If there is conflict, and I hear this from a lot of women, I don't like conflict, right? So it's something to unpack. If you're that person that doesn't like conflict, you need to start unpacking, where are you running to then? Because you're running somewhere if you don't like conflict. And people pleasing would be a craving. It's an addictive behavior because it gives you this short-term gratification, but it's not sustainable. Energetically, it's not sustainable.
This is bringing up all kinds of recent experiences with my depleted energy, pleasing my children, rather than following through with any consequences, giving them another chance and another chance and another chance, just so there's not that conflict, or I don't have to deal with it in the moment because I don't have a lot of energy. And it just seems to snowball and snowball and snowball until I choose to uphold those consequences and stand in my empowerment and not run away from conflict. And I find it will be like a big explosion. Like, depending on how long I've pleased them for and not given the consequences, will depend on how big their explosion is to the situation. So I know I just have to get through that explosion, and then they will understand, okay, mom means what she says again. Like, she's not she's not just saying it anymore. She means it. And sometimes it'll take a couple times. They'll test. Like I said, our children are always testing, giving us an option to choose. But I know once I get through it, things become much easier than continually trying to please them and having the same result of whatever is happening that I don't want to be happening in the household.
That's electronics for me in my household. Like, that's the one that I'll avoid sometimes. Like, I'll avoid that conflict because, for the last week, I've been avoiding the conflict. So I've been very giving, very people pleasing around the electronics. And then suddenly, same thing. I'll like recognize that I've done that, and then start putting the boundary back in place. And it's true. Like, it's a really good point to say. It's not just like one time I make the boundary. I've been letting go of the boundary for the last week. I need to expect there's going to be a couple of days, a few days until they're going to realize like, oh, okay.
Yes, it can take a little bit of time.
I also people please to avoid conflict with my in-laws.
Yeah, because you brought up a great point at the beginning of this video of this isn't just for parents, because we're all parented. And I love that because that comes up, right?
All the time. It always comes up how we've been parented. Yeah. So when people like, I've had many conversations with people that are like, oh, like, I thought that your conversations were like this. And I'm like, no, I'm like, it's about parenting. But even if you're not a parent, you've been parented. You can relate,
right.
To how, when you don't have children, what do you talk about? You talk about the way you were raised. You talk about the way you grew up.
Exactly. You made me realize that, I used to in-law please as well. And I didn't even realize it really. Like, Janine, she's passed away now, but we had a lot of the same parenting styles and everything. So we really aligned and we really agreed on so much. So that was nice that she thought I was a fantastic parent and everything. But I still, once she passed away, realized I was doing things to please her and I didn't even realize it. So yeah, we can not even realize that we're pleasing and be pleasing. Yeah. So it was definitely very interesting because I didn't think I was, because like I said, we were so aligned. But I would do things like, okay, the one huge thing I would do would be clean my house for hours and hours before she got there. She never expected me to do that. She never would have, said anything to me or anything, I don't believe, but I was doing it because she was such a clean and tidy person. And I felt like I needed to be up to that standard to please her. Right?
In order to have love and validation from her.
Exactly. Even though she did love me and validate me all the time with my parenting and everything, she thought I was a great parent and she voiced that. And, I was very honored to hear that. But yeah, so I guess it was like I was needing and wanting even more. It's like I could do even better, right?
Yeah.
So very interesting.
It is interesting.
Yeah. And that's how deeply ingrained it is, right? Like, even when you do receive love and acceptance from others, we still
take it to the next level.
Pleasing, because it's so deeply ingrained in us, in humanity, just in general, that it really takes a level of awareness to see it. And even if you don't see it, that's okay, because at one point, maybe you will. Maybe in like 30 years, you'll be like, damn. Right?
What was that doing?
Yeah.
It's so true. It's so true. And that's it. I think we all have this. We all have this tendency to do it in certain areas, right? I do it too with my husband. Like, there are times that he says to me, he gets uncomfortable. Like, I'm doing things for him. And he even will say to me sometimes, like, I can do that, right? You know that? Like, you could just ask me to do that. And I'll be like, and I'll go off and think about that for a moment. I guess I could. And then I'm like, oh, why did I feel the need? You know what I mean? To do that. And then you start unpacking just the expectations of women and the expectations of mothers from society that was carried down through our ancestry, right? My friend and I were just talking about this. She was talking about taking on all the tasks. Every mom can sort of probably, relate with this, where you're the one that thinks about the things you have to get at the grocery store. You think about the birthday party coming up, and we need to go get a gift for it, and we have to get laundry done because we're going to this thing, and I need to make sure her dress is washed for it. Like, you know what I mean? We think of all these things, and so we were kind of having this conversation, right? Her husband and me and my husband, and she said that it was the dentist appointments. That was it, the kids' dentist appointments, right? And she had a meltdown. And he came to her and was like, well, he's like, I could I could do the dentist appointments. He's like, I don't think about it, but I could do it. Like, you could ask me. And so it made her stop and think, why did I think I had to do it? Like, why did I drive myself to a breakdown? How many of us have done this? You know what I mean? You pile it up and you overdo everything, and all because you want to avoid conflict. And that's what I think about that, avoiding conflict. You don't ask for support because you want to avoid conflict. I don't ask my husband sometimes to do something because I don't want to hear his resistance to it.
Yeah. Again, that projection of we give meaning to things, right?
Yes.
And maybe that's from past responses to that person. Or just the shit we make up in our own heads, right?
Yep. Because one time they were annoyed that I asked them to do something. So now,
or maybe that one time
10 years
had a
later,
stomachache or something. Like,
it's so true. It's so true.
Yeah.
And so, and so we keep, like, I'm thinking, like, it's like 10 years ago he had that response, and maybe I've carried it on for 10 years. That's how he is. I've created a story that he doesn't like it when I ask him to do things.
Yeah.
Kyle doesn't like it when I ask him to go drive somewhere to get something because I don't drive, right? And it took me so long to feel comfortable to allow him to have that feeling. But he would do it anyway, and that's what I've learned. I've learned that he will do it anyway, and as time has worn on, because I allow him to have the feeling, he now makes a conscious effort to not resist when I ask him.
I love that example, giving the space, right? Giving the space, and the dynamic can completely change.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying earlier in the earlier conversation, like, can you allow for the discomfort to be there to give yourself enough of an experience that you can start to see that it'll change?
Yeah, because that discomfort is a new option for you.
Yes.
Right? And with that new option comes different outcomes.
A new experience.
Yeah.
And
we gotta get used to being uncomfortable, because that's actually where change is, right? Yes. Whether that's sticking to boundaries with kids, or saying no to in-laws, or I don't know, whatever it is. Just be okay being uncomfortable. Be like, I feel super uncomfortable. Just say this to yourself. Be like, I feel really uncomfortable. That was so awkward. Oh my God. And I love myself through this, and it's okay.
Oh, I love that.
And that is like all these like little words, guys. It is honestly like world changing, because you keep repeating it to yourself, and then it becomes a belief, or it becomes a habit, right? And then that's when you change the way you think, because it's all in your brain, right? And there's all these little neurological flashes, and I think I've used this example before of like the laser guns from like Star Wars, like pew 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 pew. But that's so if we're doing the same thing over and over again, well, it's just like that, those few hallways in our brain. But once we start changing, then there's all these other pathways that are opening up. Right?
Yes, and the other ones disconnect.
Yeah. Just like studies of multilingual children, bilingual children, trilingual children, they learn that there's more than one word for an object. Sometimes there's like 5, especially if you're French,
Yeah.
But then that fires up different synapses in your brain. And it's the same thing when we're choosing something different, when we're choosing to be uncomfortable as fuck. and being that's okay. It actually does rewire your brain.
Yes.
I love that you brought that up, because the awareness, it's being able to sit in that uncomfortable feeling brings that awareness, which then brings the opportunity for conscious thought, as you're saying, you know, creating a conscious thought that we want, which will create the conscious choice, which will create the conscious action, right?
Yeah.
And that will allow our world to shift and our perspective to change. And I love that.
And it'll create the conscious path that you can keep taking.
Right. And it's, I love the way you say the like laser guns or whatever. I think of them as ruts in our brain. Like over time, we've dug a groove in our brain. And then we need to make a new path. So it takes a little more effort, right? A little more effort and time.
Yeah.
But as we're creating that new path, eventually it becomes second nature and it's flowing through smoothly. And that old rut that we were no longer using kind of fills back up, or, you know, is no longer needed, is no longer there. It's not being used anymore.
Yeah.
I just want to say I love synchronicity, because literally just this morning or at noon today, I did a Buddhist teaching in my membership. And that is literally the example I was using, was the grooved path. And like when you start taking the other path, it's tough. There's stuff in the way, trees, and the path is, there's rocks. And eventually, if you keep taking that path, though, it wears it through it, you know, the groove gets there and the other one grows over and it becomes harder to go down the other path.
I love that.
It's so funny.
All the
I just
same,
love
like all three of us. Yeah, that's beautiful.
And I love how you brought it, how you said it. You know what I mean? I was just like, oh, that's amazing how it's tied into all of this. And one of the things I wanted to say for people is like, if you're such a people pleaser, I know people in my life that are such people pleasers, they can't even imagine doing these things we're talking about. You know what I mean? You have to start with one step, right? We talk about this all the time. You have to start with one step. So what's the awareness here? The awareness is we do people pleasing to search for something outside of ourselves. Mm-hmm. What is it we're searching for outside of ourselves? We're searching for some sort of confirmation, validation, acceptance from another person, and love, right? Yeah. And so what we need to do then is start to prioritize, and that requires your conscious choice, right? You have the awareness, now you have to have a conscious choice. And so now you make a conscious choice to prioritize appreciating yourself, giving yourself validation. So what can that look like? Maybe you just take a moment in the morning, if you're a person that journals, right? Take a moment to, or at the end of the day even, take a moment to appreciate yourself. What is one way that you gave to the world today? Good energy versus, you know, lower frequency energy. Like, you know, what is, you know, maybe you just said something, maybe you just said hi to a stranger on the street and they smiled. So you know you made an impact. But the brain, that was what my teaching this morning was about. The brain it looks for fault. Your ego is constantly scanning for fault in everything, in every room you walk into, in every person you see, you know what I mean? You interact with. That is what the ego does. It searches for faults, scans for faults, right? So it requires conscious choice to scan for something positive. So prioritize a practice of appreciating yourself and finding something positive about yourself for the day. Maybe even looking, I wrote down something here. We have to develop this within ourselves. Yeah, commit to appreciating yourself daily, recognizing how you brought light instead of pain to another. My teaching this morning was about bringing pain, not bringing pain, and consciously bringing light instead. And act with respect and spend time building skills that you value. You know, things that you value. Then you'll stop doing for others, because you'll start to if you spend time building skills in something that you value, you'll want to spend time there, and you'll find yourself naturally possibly saying no to things because you want to be here. But if you don't spend that conscious time doing it, then you're at the whim of the outside world.
Yeah.
Right? And so these are some things you can start to do. And prioritize it. It requires you to. It's work. requires you to prioritize it, because you can very easily let it fall to the end of the list. We've all been doing it for years.
Yeah, yeah.
I always like to say with these routines, they are simple, not necessarily easy, right?
Yes,
And
exactly.
you're reminding me that I've started a routine in the morning and before bed, as soon as I open my eyes, or even before I open my eyes, of gratitude. Because like I said, I've been having low energy, and I've been trying to learn from it as well as flip it around. And yeah, gratitude is a huge one for me. So I just try and think of as many things I'm grateful for in that day.
And it's a simple practice. Exactly. It's simple,
Simple.
but how easy is it for a parent, especially if you have a young child who comes and interrupts you? Like I think about how easy it is to fall into people pleasing that way, right? Just catering to them instead of just saying to them, "Hey, mommy just needs 2 minutes." You know, it's uncomfortable, but can you start there, guys? Can you start with, mommy just needs 2 minutes, and give yourself that 2 minutes to find even just one thing you appreciate about yourself?
Yeah, yeah. I was
That's
gonna
how we
say,
start.
yeah, I was gonna say for homework this week, just notice when you are people pleasing. Just notice it once. Just notice one instance, and then write it down, and then notice how often that pops up. Because that is awareness. That's the definition of awareness. Just be like, oh, I'm doing that thing that I said I wasn't going to do, and I'm still doing it, but I see myself doing it. And that's the difference.
And look at me, I'm doing it here too. And look at me, I'm doing it here too. And like, wow, I'm doing it here too. And that awareness grows. And the desire to choose differently grows.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So just notice that one, whichever one you notice, right? That one people pleasing moment today.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, I just want to say, it doesn't mean you have to change it instantly either. It's just bringing the awareness. It's not about changing or judging yourself or anything. It's just about, oh, I noticed that, and that's all it has to be. And then, like Angie said, then you have the awareness. You are more likely to choose something different that feels more aligned, that feels better. And it's just one small step at a time. Sometimes when we're so depleted, the effort, it feels like there's just so much effort needed to do something as simple as think of something you're grateful for.
And don't beat yourself up. Yeah, and don't beat yourself up for that.
No, just do the best.
Love yourself. Love yourself there.
Absolutely. One small step at a time. It's not about moving a mountain in a day. It's just one small step at a time. And if we're giving homework, I would love...
we have to do it too. We got to do it too.
We have to do it too. Yes.
Yeah. I would absolutely love if, you could put that routine in the morning and before bed. Just think of one or as many things that you're grateful for. And, it could be often it was, I'm grateful for my comfortable bed and my pillow, and, just start there and let it grow as it's ready to grow.
And I will add to the homework to make one of those things something about yourself.
Yes. I love
because that. The reason why we're looking outside of ourselves is we don't believe we can give it to ourselves. And so the practice is giving it to ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, even like taking the example of the bed, like you're grateful for your bed. Well, be grateful for the fact that you are the genius who purchased the bed in the first place, right?
Maybe
you had an idea for a mattress.
Yes, it was my idea.
I'm so grateful I bought this mattress.
Yes.
I love that you said bring it back to yourself. That's really empowering, Ange.
It's really important because people pleasing is about other people. We need to bring it to ourselves, and we need to learn to believe and have the experience that we can create it for ourselves.
Yeah.
We can. And that is when we create it for ourselves. Like I said, that's our empowerment, because it can't be taken away from us. It can't be taken away. The only one who has the choice to take it from us is ourselves.
Yes.
When we're seeking that externally and outside, the validation, the love, it can be taken at any moment. That's not empowerment.
And that's fear-based. That's fear-based. You're always doing things because of fear of it being taken away. Because at a soul level, it can be taken away from you. And so this is deep. This goes deep, guys. But we bring these things up to bring the awareness. We're planting the seed. And it wasn't easy. Like, I mean, we're talking about this, but we've been through a journey of like a whole shit ton of up and down to get here.
Oh, I just think about when we met, how like what a
Yes.
scared little person I was, like just not wanting to be, like I've always been very vocal, but at the same time I was so secluded, like you said, like not leaving my neighborhood. You were my security blanket to go anywhere. You know what I mean? I was just so living in fear, and it was choosing myself over and over again, no matter how selfish it felt in the moment, no matter what how much criticism I got or judgment I got from outside, whether that was only my perspective or not. It's just choosing ourselves again and again and again, choosing self-love. Yeah. So start with that gratitude.
I love it. I love it. What a beautiful way to end this. This was such a great conversation. I love you guys. If you're catching this on the replay, guys, I see that somebody's here, but say hi. But if you're catching this on the replay, please share with us. Share with us. This conversation lives on. There is no time. It lives on whenever you see it. So share with us your own insights and thoughts. Oh, she's got the Nutella jar.
Of course.
Yeah, the Nutella jar is hers. Okay. You can only have a few spoons, right? Mm-hmm. I got a smirk.
Yeah.
As long as mom only sees a few spoons, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's another topic too. Just pretending we don't see things. So
oh my God.
That's damn good. Yeah.
We should do that. Maybe that should be next week's.
That should be.
Yeah, sure.
Like the turning a blind eye to things.
I've done it.
Oh,
I have
many times
done it. Yeah.
Sometimes it's for our own peace, right? Yeah, that's an
interesting
topic.
Yeah, there's two sides to it, right?
To avoid conflict too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think
to just stay in your own lane, be like, all right, well, I'm not going to be, I'm glad I'm not their tummy because you just ate like a whole jar.
Right, yes. It can be a good thing. Actually, turning a blind eye can be a good thing.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Like I remember, like my son loves fruit, and he like took down an entire cantaloupe one time, and I'm like, I would not like to be your gut.
Yeah.
Too much of a good thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, all right. Well, guys, oh my goodness. This was such a beautiful conversation. I love you both.
Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah. Love you guys.
And thank you for everybody who's watching this, whenever you're watching this.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for being here and for tuning in. All right.
So much fun.
Have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye, guys.
Bye.